Kwarasi Kedres is a 70-year-old widow. Although she, like any other Mutwa, can enter a Chuya forest to fetch firewood at their convenience, her life can never be the same as before they were forcefully evicted out of the forest to turn it into a forest reserve. Now, as a squatter, she survives on battering firewood in exchange for food.
Every morning, I come to a Chuya forest and collect firewood for my landlord, who in turn gives me food. That is how I've been surviving since we were evicted from the forest.
For the Munezas, another Twa family in Gahinga village, Kisoro district, every morning is greeted with a new challenge. Like with their previous 3 landlords since they were evicted from their forest habitat, the common phenomenon is mistreatment and discrimination. Their current landlord assigns them chunks of land where they dig in exchange for their rent. So they have to work extremely hard to create time during which they can hire their labor elsewhere to get money which they desperately need for their other household requirements.
We have no choice but to work hard. We must find means of getting money to buy food and other basic requirements for survival.
These 2 situations are just a sample of the miserable lives the average Batwa people are leading in southwestern Uganda. Not to despair, they decided to come together under the United Organization for the Batwa Development in Uganda to collectively search for the solutions out of their predicament.
Around 1991, the Batwa were officially evicted from their motherland. They lost their ancestral land, and due to that, the Batwa became landless. They don't have shelter. They do not have income-generating activity that can improve their livelihood, that can also generate some income to educate their children, so lack of education again comes in as a challenge. They don't have the groups where they can benefit from the government programs, NADS, for example, and other programs that are coming in. They don't have any representation anywhere at the local level, national level. So they have no voice to raise out their challenge. Even if they attend the meetings, they've been telling us that our views are not taken into consideration because we are poor, we are marginalized. A lack of water has been a problem among the number of the Batwa families. Taking dirty water causes them to have some diseases. All those leaves them remain behind.
As part of the intervention, Care International in Uganda formed the Batwa Livelihood Improvement Project, through which to tackle, amongst other issues, landlessness, food insecurity, and shortage of safe water sources.
So this project was thought of as a way to demonstrate to the others that given the basics of life, the Batwa life can improve. Traditionally, the Batwa are marginalized. They are looked down upon by their neighbors, basically because of the historical events they lived in the forest, but also lack of material assets. They don't have land, they don't have houses, they don't have food, so they're out begging here and there. And this in itself lowers their self-esteem, but also their neighbors look down upon them. So this intervention was thought to, in addition to improving the livelihood condition of the Batwa, to improve the cooperation between the Batwa and the non-Batwa. Along with this project, CARE has other interventions, like the health project, like the advocacy and empowerment projects with the Batwa. But we thought that without tangible physical support of the Batwa, their livelihood would never improve. So we looked at the critical issues in life, and the basic was land. The project was involved in buying at least 1 acre per family, construction of housing units, which was the living house, the kitchen, and to support our health project, we thought water and sanitation was also critical. And that's why we came in with support for pit latrines, but also for water harvesting, say a rainwater harvesting system. And where it was thought to be more cost effective, we protected springs. And this protection of springs, in addition to serving the settled Batwa, also served their hosts, the non-Batwa neighbors. And in a way, program-wise, this was to encourage cooperation and support for the newcomers. The other intervention about livestock, traditionally in this region, livestock is looked at as a sign of status. When somebody has livestock, is looked around to be of a higher social status. But that notwithstanding, the livestock also produces droppings, manure, compost, which is useful for production. We originally thought of goats, but working with them we found that they preferred sheep. They argue that sheep grazes on a small area, but also, compared to the goat, produces much more manure. The growing of crops was intended to improve their food security, because basically human life or any other living thing needs to feed for doing another thing.
CARE implemented the 3-year project in the 2 districts of Kabale and Kisoro through 2 partner organizations, the African International Christian Ministries and the Bwindi Gahinga Conservation Trust, respectively. The 2 organizations had been working with the Batwa communities for quite some time, and therefore easily integrated the project activities into their programs. It was therefore easy for them to identify and mobilize the very vulnerable Batwa people and to encourage them to participate vigorously in all the project activities to not only benefit but to also sustain the development process.
When we are settling this Batwa, we make sure that we go to these LCs where there is land which we are going to purchase. We convene meetings with the locals, with the local people. We tell them we have our brothers and sisters who have been suffering, and it would be better if we integrate them within your community. So we have a dialogue, we have meetings with these people, we come to an understanding. And good enough, whoever we have resettled this Batwa, the communities have been appreciative. They have been willing and welcoming this Batwa into their communities. We have not had a case where they are chasing them away. So we have purchased 27 acres of land for the Batwa. We have built 17 houses. So 17 households are living on 17 acres, whereas the other 10 acres are being utilized by other Batwa who had been helped by the church through building them houses. The 17 households we have resettled, we have given them household items. We give them jerry cans, we give them axes, we give them pangas, we give them hose.
We were also promoting improved agriculture practices among the Batwa communities, and also training them in land use and management, and providing support for agriculture inputs like seeds, and then implements to enable them to really do meaningful agriculture as a source of income, and also to address the issue of food insecurity. But we're now adopting agriculture as a new source of livelihoods. We have also provided land for resettlement for the Batwa communities in Kawale, mainly in the sub-counties of Muko, Bufundi, and Butanda, where we had 52 acres of land purchased, and over 47 Batwa households were resettled on this land. And among the other components of this project was, of course, promoting human rights through advocacy and lobbying. We have also promoted education.
On education, the project used Emmanuel Mbonye as a role model for the Batwa, the indigenous communities, the pupils, and the other development partners that, given chance, Batwa children can perform and consequently contribute to the development of their society and the country at large.
Number 6.
Compared to others, Manuel is a good pupil. He behaves well, and academic he's trying. Last time he was the 21st, now he's the 18th, so he's improving.
Emmanuel freely associates with his classmates, a phenomenon confirming that Batwa integration is already taking root. The settling Batwa and the indigenous communities, as well as those surrounding the project area, have been unified.
We are very grateful for all the project support. We have managed to solve a lot of challenges that have for long hindered our advancement. For example, we can now actively participate in community meetings, such as this one, which have further unified us all.
Aho batuyambe bakadushiriraho protected water spring supply.
This spring is our only source of clean water in Butobo village. So the project has not only benefited the Batwa, but the entire village. The once mosquito breeding place is no more, and therefore malaria is no longer a problem. We collectively maintain this source of water to ensure that the water does not stagnate.
Kwese tuvomaga kuri uyu mugezi.
Ndikushima trust na Care bafatanyize nawe.
I thank CARE and BMCT. They have saved us all the misery. We no longer worry about the rainy season because this house does not leak. We instead pray that it rains for our plants to grow. Through the project, we got land and now we grow a lot of food.
Okay, ihene zo ziri kunyamba ku fumbire nubwo izuba riri kugeraho rikakarika twononera ariko agafumbire karimo.
These animals which the project gave us are also very important for income generation. They also provide us with manure to boost the productivity of the already exhausted land in Kisoro district. The rainwater harvesting system has saved me, my wife, as well as the neighbors that travel to traverse the hills in search of clean water.
We are
very happy for this input and the contribution that we have made to them to become self-reliant. So now that they have a place they call home, they need to live in harmony. We also hold workshops with them on the gender part of it. How can they come as a family and work together, and don't say this should be done by a man, this should be done by a woman, this should be owned by me, this should be owned by another person. And then we also address alcoholism, which is also hindering their development. We also educate them on how to get self-esteem, and I'm happy to say that the Batwa women who have settled down are now more assertive and they look good. You would not even tell that this is a Mutwa, this is not a Mutwa, unless you know them. And then what we also encourage them to do is to participate in other local government development projects and meetings, especially local council meetings at the village level. We encourage them to go and participate. And then eventually, we know that they will also stand for election. And I can see those ones who are settled, especially the women, they are moving to that area.
In terms of uplifting or amplifying the voices of the Batwa beyond the field level, we've worked with a number of partners, including Accord, Uganda Land Alliance, FPP, that is Forest People and Plants, and we have linked to the responsible ministries. There have been promises from government to resettle the Batwa, but then of course, just like how the government resettled the Bududa landslide victims, certainly government plans to resettle Batwa would be focusing on land which is available outside their home districts. And of course, it is true that in Kisoro, in Kabale, in Kanungu, there isn't enough land. But whether the Batwa would be willing to move to those other areas, that's another issue. And of course, beyond land, Batwa's problems are much bigger than that. There's a question of education, the question of access to social services like health and others. So at the national level, we've worked with a number of partners advocating for affirmative action in respect to social services such as education and health.
The project has also empowered the Batwa people with information that can help them negotiate for greater benefit from their initial habitat, now regarded as central forest reserves and national parks with international significance.
The two protected areas we work around, Bwindi and Mugahinga, are national parks where they only access forest resources through multiple use zones. Some of these Batwa, like in Kanungu, they have a multiple use zone where they access the herbal medicine and some weaving materials. But some of the Batwa in Kisoro and Kabale don't have multiple use zones. So we always tell them, please don't go to the forest without permission, because you can be shot, you can be arrested, you can be fined. Because these national parks are no go zone unless they are guided. So in this process, we also encourage the Batwa to access the medicinal plants and plant them outside, propagate them outside the park, so that they don't usually go in and out to get those medicinal herbs, because they will not be allowed. So those things we always bring them across. And these ones who have been settled, they really think they no longer want to go to the forest to poach or to illegally. They have to go through the right channels.
When making a CFM agreement, there are some issues we agreed together with the communities that they will harvest, that they are going to collect from the reserve or help us manage the reserve sustainably. So products that we are going to get from Ichuya, we agreed on bamboo, medicinal plants, herbs, water, and firewood. On the CFM agreements, they are agreed days when they are supposed to come and collect them. And the Batwa are also among the communities who come in and access those products. We encourage them to join the group so that they really access these products cheaply, so that once they go out and they are making products like baskets, like seats, like chairs, they make them cheaply because they have bought the products cheaply. But specifically for the Batwa, there are some products where specifically we do not charge the Batwa, because we believe they were the original inhabitants of this reserve, and now they are outside and want to make sure that their lives have improved. So we try to subsidize on some of the products specifically for the Batwa, so that once they make products out of them, they can benefit as they sell. But under CFM also, there are also programs to empower them to domesticate their own bamboo in their areas. If it is firewood, we encourage them to plant, to do their private planting of trees in their areas if they have land, so that in the future they look at those trees as a source of firewood or source of timber.
Today, some of the Batwa are employed as tour guides, and others have been permitted to undertake environment-friendly enterprises such as beekeeping within the forest. The local governments in districts bordering these reserves and national parks have agreed to give part of the gorilla levy to the Batwa community for their development. Despite the successes, there are challenges that are still inhibiting full-scale development.
Some individuals, some families never want to shift from town. Thinking of going to a village and do cultivation is not some. So that's one of the biggest challenge.
I must say that it is still a big challenge because the Batwa as a community have not yet fully embraced agriculture as a source of livelihood. So most of them are still recalling their way of life in the forest. So they are, when you tell them to engage in agriculture, they tell you this is work for the Bahutu. For the Batwa, they are not supposed to be cultivating food. They're supposed to do other things, and then they get food from other providers. So to really convince them that this is now the way of life is still a challenge.
The other challenge that we had with the project was that as the road construction started and compensation for neighbors of the road, the land prices went high. But around the same time, food prices went high in this region. So much of the redundant land that would be available for buying was hired out to grow Irish potatoes. But that notwithstanding, this is one of the most densely populated region in Uganda and East Africa, Kigezi region. And so it means, much as we're talking about Batwa having no land or having little land, there are other non-Batwa who do not have land. And so therefore this implies getting land to buy here is not easy. Yet, taking them outside this region was not forthcoming. They didn't welcome that idea.
Overall, CARE International in Uganda, in partnership with African International Christian Ministries and Bwindi Mugahinga Conservation Trust, with funding from Ford Foundation, has ably demonstrated that, given the required support, the Batwa situation can be improved. But what strategies has the project put in place to ensure sustainability of what has been initiated?
What we are thinking about and what we have been doing right from the beginning is working closely with the local government, particularly the Department of Community Development and the NADS, in trying to support these settled Batwa. A number of them have had seed, potato seed, from NADS, and we think if this continued, maybe they will very soon come out with that.
Of course, we are targeting to bring those other ones that are very poor up on the level of others. In NADS, they have been selected as food security farmers. Food security farmer is that farmer, the lowest farmer, that one whom you can give even 2 cups and plant them. If we find that you are unable to, you can't get where to plant those crops, we can give you maybe a goat or a sheep to graze. And there is also another level of market-oriented farmers. If there is that Mutwa who can afford buying land and plant there the seed they've given him or her, she or he can be taken up as a market-oriented farmer in order to increase maybe your productivity or maybe to increase your income and raise your standard of living.
On the part of CARE, our long-term strategy is to, of course, to continue engaging with the Batwa, and we have just concluded a holistic situation analysis, which is going to inform our long-term planning. And of course, as CARE, we depend on donor resources. We have embarked on an aggressive fundraising strategy, which will enable us to invest in this kind of work for a much longer period, because we are very well aware that a project of just 3 years may not cause long-term significant change as far as the development of the Batwa is concerned.
So, let us join hands and support many more Batwa to live a decent and fruitful life, beneficial to all of us.
Yes! It's important to note that the Batwa have got inputs which they could share in the development process. For instance, they have very vital knowledge regarding the forests, which other community members do not have. And still the Batwa have got a very, very interesting cultural heritage, which they have not yet shared with the rest of the world. For instance, the Batwa language is on the verge of extinction. And this one is going to be a big loss to the nation and to the whole world. They are very good entertainers. They have a strong attachment to music and to folk kind of songs, folk stories, which other tribes do not have. So once the Batwa, for instance, are engaged and supported to engage in cultural tourism, they would contribute much to the economy.